Sensitivity is intelligence. With grace and skill, you have abundance. Welcome to the Psychic Hour. Host Kelly Brickle is a psychic medium healer, numerologist, and teacher. Her passions are learning about the soul and energy. Whether it's through spirit, emotion, or vibrational numbers, there's always a pathway of information waiting to help. Now, here is your host of the Psychic Hour, Kelly Brickle.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Psychic Hour on WLTK-DB. Let's Talk Radio. Hello, it is Wednesday, and we are doing the interview series, and we're having Miguel Gonzalez on. He's a spirit artist, medium, trance healer, and also trance medium. So it's going to be really cool to talk about, that side of mediumship, the trance part, and the spirit art part, because I think those are skills that we don't always see. We see a lot of the mental mediumship. So I'm excited to dive in. Hello, Angela. Hello, Debbie. Hey, it's always great to see everybody. Debbie always makes me smile. So yes, we always start with a topic, and that's how we kind of open up the energy and dive in. And then we go into the interview. And please, during the interview, it's very interactive. Yes, it is between me and the guest, and we build it up, and then we go and we send it out to the audience for questions, comments, whether you have a similar experience or you have a thought or something just inspires you, share it, and we talk about it. And that's what makes it, just full-bodied. So I encourage you to just share away. The topic of the day is about developing your focus. And that is something that we really have to do in life. We have to develop. Yeah, that's all about spirituality, developing. But to develop our focus maybe be on an idea, it might be on a dream, an aspiration, but to focus into reality, what's it going to take? To focus into reality, everything that flourishes around that idea. Because we might have a dream, but to connect that dream to reality, it's a completely different process. And what really inspired me to talk about this was, so from time to time, I develop my own self, and I've been working on business plans. Okay. It's always important to do that. You have to have a good foundational backbone. And so I was filling out all this paperwork, with my business to understand the ins and the outs and everything. And it was like 9 pages, right? And I did it like 3 times because I just went back and forth with it, right? And so it brought into awareness all the things that either I knew or I had forgotten about, and a couple of things that I hadn't considered. But mostly it was things that I remembered where I'm like, oh, I think about this all the time. Yeah, I'm not allocating my skills, or I'm not using my time in a way where I can get this part of my focus done. It always sits on the back burner. And I'm sure there's certain things within your own aspirations where you know what you want, but certain things about it, even though you know you need to do it, are always on the back burner. And so that's why things like classes and even personal meditation, they're so powerful, because they bring into alignment all those pieces. And we can know about all those pieces in some area of our consciousness, but we really have to associate to go, hey, I'm actually not doing this. Like, think about all the times you said to yourself, yeah, I meditate, but not enough. Or, yeah, I, let's say, have a passion in singing, but when do I sing? The passion in cooking, I cook like 2 days a week. So there's gaps. There's gaps within the manifestation. And to focus and to align those missing gaps. Hello, Cara. Hello, Trudy. Hello, Jennifer. Good afternoon. And so while you're developing your focus, you start to have that intention come alive in a way that the mind cannot ever do. You might think you understand it, but productivity in actuality trumps potential every day of the week. So you have to be in the energy. That's why it's so important. So for everyone developing, I like to mirror this to mediumship and psychic development a lot, because I know that's why a lot of people are here, because it's the psychic hour. And I know when I'm at classes, or whether it's in person or online, I know that I put my focus on what it means to be a medium or a psychic or a healer, or like maybe it's a business course to develop my business, right? I know that I put my attention when I show up there, and everyone else that I'm with has the intention too. So this synergy happens. And so I have realizations that maybe I never even thought of, or I get reminders of what I already know. And that's what it really takes to blossom and encourage energy going forward, because we all have goals, we all have dreams, and we all know we are certain things. But sometimes we're like, if only someone saw me for who I really am, if only someone knew what I could actually do. Why am I not doing it, right? And so the gap must be bridged. With sitting in the power, it so beautifully does that. But sometimes we need focus to even get to sitting in the power. We really do, because the world is just moving around us. There's an inner world and there's an outer world. And when we go into the inner world and we touch that space, we start to speak with ourselves. Spirit starts to speak with us, and they give us these roadmaps, these pathways of, hey, go this way. And the beautiful thing within spiritual development is it touches our soul in a way where we don't overthink it. It touches our soul in a way where there's a knowing, or there's an understanding of a certain path to follow through something so personal to us. When we go out into the outer world with classes sometimes, or when we're learning about like just our own nature, and we go, okay, I have to learn about myself, sometimes we overthink it. Sometimes we're just overwhelmed by what's in front of us. So the greatest way to focus is to learn about our energy. And sometimes we need the outside encouragement, accountability, and the mastery of other people to ignite that within us. We're all masters. I really believe that, truly, wholeheartedly. We're all masters of ourself. We're all masters of certain skills and talents. And sometimes we have to activate that, whether we've forgotten it in this life, or we have to activate it in a way that we're growing into within this life. And once that's activated and that's kindled, we really then have to go forward. And it takes a lot of inner focus to get the job done. But sometimes we need that fire stoked. And I say that so strongly. And we might continue to need our fire stoked, because life has so many different twists and turns. You have to be formidable in whatever it is that you believe and want to achieve. So sometimes it's just beliefs you stand for. Like, you want people to know certain truths of life, certain values, and you want to stick behind it, and you want people to know the message, whether it's, something in politics, maybe, whether it's animal rights, humans' rights, or whether you want to achieve something where you are part of a group needs to progress, and you know it within your heart and soul. Within spiritual development, we can go out and be readers, we can go out and be healers, we can work on ourselves internally, but it directly mirrors and affects the longings, the purpose, and the potential that we have in life. And just, I know focus sometimes is a little bit difficult, but it's so powerful. It's been talked about. So I mention this from time to time because I do think it's quite poignant. We are in the age of attention. Before we were in the age of information, because we just all of a sudden, we had everything at our disposal, and it was quite wonderful, and people were sharing and connecting and reaching out, and the internet helped burst that forward. But now we're in the age of attention, and that aspect is so valuable because people are so overwhelmed and overstimulated that their attention is all over the place. Their focus is all over the place. So it has to be called back. So I urge you to make time, whether it's meditation or a list. You have to slow down time to reclaim your time, to reclaim your focus, to reclaim your direction, and reclaim those pieces. Even if you are locked in on your course, reclaim those pieces that just have to fit and turn just a little certain way so you can be at your center and you can have your power. So, okay. With that said, I really wanted to talk about developing your focus today. I know. Talking about the mind sometimes is an interesting thing, but we have to engage it, we have to integrate it, and we have to connect it to the heart and spirit, and then away we go. So, with that said, away we go, and we are going to be back in a couple minutes, and then we will bring on Miguel. So we'll see you in a moment.
The Body Code is a revolutionary method of energetic healing developed by Dr. Bradley Nelson, which allows us to quickly and easily identify specific imbalances that seem to underline chronic ill health, acute and chronic pain, and discomfort, dysfunction, and stress. Ellie energetically connects with the subconscious of the client. Psychic medium Ellie Weisensell is a medical intuitive and energy healer, and a certified body code practitioner. She identifies and clears energetic imbalances within the body and energy field. Contact Ellie at the website below, and Ellie can work remotely from a distance, by phone, online, video chat. There's no need to travel to an office. Remember, the Body Code is safe for humans and animals. Contact Ellie today.
I keep doing that. I don't know why I keep muting myself. We're going to get it right one of these times. We really are. So we're going to bring Miguel in. We're going to bring him in very gently and with a laugh and with a smile and welcome him in and introduce him. Hello, Miguel.
Hi, Kelly. Hi,
Hello. Hello. We can hear you, but you're frozen. So I hope it will even itself out. I'm sure it will. Can you see us?
Yes, I can see you.
Oh, I can see you, but you're frozen, and I can hear you. There you go. You're back. See? There you go. Evened out.
All right.
Okay.
Is it still good?
It's going in and out, and it's okay. We're gonna flow with it. We're gonna work with it.
All right. Apologies for that. I hope it fixes itself.
Me too. And you know what? I'm glad you're here, and I want to give everyone just an introduction to you. So with that, Miguel Gonzalez is a medium, spirit artist, and healer. His journey began not too long ago when he was visited by the Lady Guadalupe in his dream. Miguel knew from that dream that big changes would come. Since then, his journey into mediumship began, shortly followed by spirit art and now trance healing. Welcome. There's so many things that you're a part of within your spiritual development and work. It's actually amazing.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you. It's definitely been quite a journey, and I look forward to what else reveals itself in the future, and to be able to work with Spirit is such an honor.
It is, and you're very much actively working with Spirit. You're doing galleries where you're drawing spirit art. You're doing more trance healing and mediumship work. So when did, if I can ask, when did you start and how quickly did you just go, I'm doing it?
Well, I was 26 when I had the visitation from the Lady of Guadalupe. I'm now 31, and it was then I saw her in my dream, and I just knew that there was something very important within the dream. And after that, I just knew that I needed to make big changes in my own personal life to be able to be open to what was coming. And through that, I then started to become aware of spirit. My grandma would come to visit me at night in my room, and I would feel the energy of her and other spirits that would come in. And so that sparked curiosity into connecting spirit, because I didn't know that there was an afterlife where you could connect to loved ones, or even about mediumship. I knew about psychics, but I didn't know about mediumship. And that opened the door for me to be curious. And I'm very fortunate and lucky that there was a shop nearby where I lived called Awakenings. And through that, I was able to meet Michael Mile, who helped me start on this path. And that was really incredible.
Yeah. Wow. So did the dream just say, "Hey, you got to start looking. You got to start looking," or did the shops being around kind of just pull you in and help you and guide you?
You know, I feel that it was a combination of everything. I feel that after that dream, I really started to wonder about the afterlife. And all my life, I felt that something within me was missing. I didn't know what it was. And once I found mediumship, I knew that that's what was missing in my life. And so the dream, the Lady of Guadalupe came to visit me like 3 times after that dream. And I would wake up and I would see like this constellation of stars in front of me in the darkness, and it was her form. And it was more of this intuitive feeling that I needed to be of service and to help people. And she was a symbol of surrendering and helping others. And that's what sparks that journey there.
Wow. Wow. So is she a guide for you? Do you feel, because you had three dreams that helped open that up? Is she still with you, the Lady of Guadalupe?
I feel that she is with me, not in the sense of being a direct guide that works with me directly. I feel more that she is there to support me, and many people who ask for her help and for her guidance. And as a child, I just grew up in a family that was Catholic, so her image was always present. And it's interesting to me because I can look back to being a kid, and I would always want to draw her. So many of my first drawings were drawing of the Lady of Guadalupe. So I felt that that connection was there from childhood. But as of now, I feel her presence come in every so often and receive a message, but I don't feel her presence directly as I do with the guides that are working with me at the moment where I feel them daily.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Um, with the connection to Guadalupe too, did your family have any curiosity or support when you told them about how you were, I guess, developing your spirituality with Catholicism, or initially, expanding on it? Was it accepted more?
You know, when I brought it up to my mom, who was like the first person, and then I shared it with my sisters, they were actually very open and very supportive. And I feel the reason why is that throughout our lives, you know, throughout my family, we've had healers that maybe perhaps don't recognize themselves as being spiritual healers, but they have those abilities. Or family members who are very psychic and intuitive, but they don't label it as that.
Yeah.
So I feel that bringing this in didn't feel too far off like my mom. She was very open actually when I shared with her. I was connecting with her mother, my grandmother. And now we still have conversations where my mom just is very curious and very excited when I talk about the spirit world. So I'm very lucky that with my immediate family, we're very accepting and open to this, and it helped me to feel secure and safe.
That's amazing that it, the intuitiveness is in your family, and so they understand that this is a very real part of you, and there is that curiosity. That's actually very beautiful. Um, you were an artist before you knew about mediumship, correct?
Yes, yeah, I went to college for 4 years to understand how to paint, how to draw. Before that, I was just naturally drawn to expressing myself with oil paint, and so I felt that that was my path. But I really feel that now with what I'm doing, it was one way that spirit led me to understand how to paint, how to draw, so that they could use me with that now, and that feels to make sense to me at this time.
Absolutely. Like you're so detailed within your art. So online you post it and you have an Instagram and it's just all this gorgeous. So I'm familiar with your social media. It's just gorgeous pictures of people and just so detailed and brilliant. Do you find yourself fixating on particular parts of the human body so you can know the uniqueness when people come in with their evidence?
You know, I feel that when it comes to spirit portraits, I do my best to surrender and let it happen as it's meant to be. And it's surprising, or it's interesting to me, because sometimes it's a very small thing that will kind of connect that piece of evidence for that person in a drawing. And I'm not always aware of it. So there isn't specifically something that I try to focus on. I just try to remain as open when receiving that information or flowing with that energy. Because I've noticed that when I try to um, get involved, it isn't as successful. And
Yes.
so I'm learning to just surrender to it completely and be like, okay, what are we going to do today? What's going to happen? Go for it.
I 100% agree. Like you can't direct the ship, it's completely just you receiving the spirit. I'm curious though. So I'm curious about your perspective. So I'm a very visual person, and growing up, I drew a lot. I drew like faces and people a lot, but I was never like an artist. I would just doodle, and it would just be very comforting, right? So just a lot of doodling. But from that, I was able to notice like when spirit would give me like unique eyebrows or unique eyelashes or a part in the hair, because those are the things I would draw within like the faces so often, like I would do a lot of faces, just heads, right? There's only so much detail in a face or a head sometimes. So I would pick up maybe like a unique nose or cheekbones or something like that. Do you find yourself, since you draw so many faces and people, that comes in easier?
It does sometimes. And what I've learned when I'm working with the spirit portraits is to not have any expectation of how it's going to come forward, or to rely on, oh, last week it worked this way, let me try it again.
I
I've
like
learned
that.
to just let it be. And the reason is because each person is very different and very unique. And when I move into that space, I'm then given what is necessary to help push forward the portrait. So just as you're talking about receiving a specific brows, nose, cheekbones, that's the same thing that happens with me, where as I start, I will see some of those parts of the features, and there are times where I don't see anything. And it's like I'm just following where my hand needs to move
That's cool.
and let it, and it's really fascinating, because when that happens, I actually feel like going to a light state trance, and it's like I'm seeing that person emerge from the paper as spirit is guiding to draw, and so it can be quite different in that way versus them giving me impressions of the different parts. So I've understood for myself that it works in those two ways. Either I'm receiving impressions or I'm not seeing anything and I need to follow their guidance.
That's amazing. So with what I know about spirit art, right, it's channeled. So you're not even like fully thinking about what your hand's doing. And some of the spiritualism backgrounds in the spirit art focus, they'll send the artists, the mediums, into cabinets, and they'll be in a pitch dark environment, and they'll come out with this very, beautiful or specific drawing and relates to a loved one or a situation. And they had no idea what they were creating. They were just channeling.
Yeah, it's really incredible when that is able to happen. And I feel, going into the cabinet and having an experience, it seems that those mediums are going into a deeper state of trance where their consciousness is now moved aside and spirit is really coming forward to facilitate that drawing. And so I hope that one day I'll get to that point too.
It sounds like you already are, though. Like with the answers that you're letting me know of, it sounds like you're already there. Honestly.
Thank you. I feel like it's the beginning, when they do take control. But there are moments where I sat and I'm completely with my eyes closed and I just let them take control with my hand. We're still at scribbles, but something is starting to happen. And so hopefully that'll develop further.
So if I may ask with that too, when you're drawing like at a gallery, or let's say it's a private reading, when you look down at the picture, sometimes you're like, oh, I drew that. Like it's just like you come back to and you're just surprised of what you created.
Yes, there are moments where that does happen, where I am surprised by what I'm seeing. And there was one memory that I have of a spirit portrait that I was doing, in where it was like the drawing became real and lifelike. And I saw the gentleman communicating, blink, and there was this tear that just dropped from his eye to his cheek, and it was just the most beautiful experience to see that emotion in the spirit portrait. And I feel like it was seen more clairvoyantly through my own perspective, but to see that was just so incredible. I do feel that each drawing holds that very specific soul's energy, and I feel that that's what makes spirit art very special, that I feel any medium can tap into the energy of that portrait and connect to that soul, because it's almost as if there's an imprint that is left here that the loved one can take home and experience and enjoy. And it almost becomes like this link that they can continue to connect to.
With being the link and being an artist as well as a medium who actually can tune in and give messages, how do you find yourself using both, or do you try to just do one at a time?
I try to, it depends. If I'm doing a private reading, I have to use both at the same time. And I will be honest that it's a little bit challenging because there's the part of where I'm trying to be slightly detached to allow the drawing to come through. But with mental mediumship, it's like you have to be somewhat conscious to receive the information and give it. So it's a bit of a balance between the two. There are moments where I do have to take a break and focus on the drawing and go back to the information. But if I'm doing a public demonstration, I really like to share the space with another medium, because if perhaps I start the communication, I then hand it over to that medium, and then I just focus only on the drawing. And we still have that exchange of energy flowing, which allows for the portrait to be produced. And so it works both ways, but doing it on my own can be a bit challenging sometimes. That just has to do with developing that more.
Yeah, as you're so I can understand how you're describing it. Absolutely. I'm like, whoa, the fact that you do both within a session, that's very impressive. And yes, that's mental and spiritual gymnastics.
It can feel like that.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Do you find that you crave like just being a medium sometimes, or do you always really like to bring in the art?
That is a very good question because as of late, I feel that I crave to be more in the space of trance healing. As it's revealing itself, I find that I really enjoy being in that space to work with spirit. And there are moments where I think to myself, well, should I maybe put the spirit portraits aside for a little bit? But somehow spirit always seems to bring it back forward again. So I'm like, okay, I gotta keep going. But I do feel that I'm being pulled with my own personal interest to the trance healing at the time.
And with that, can I ask, what is the difference for you with trance healing versus trance mediumship?
Ooh, I feel like the difference are very similar. Um, the difference would be that with trance healing, the person that you're working with is actually receiving healing energy that is being sent to them to help them with either physical pain or emotional things that they have to figure out or understand for themselves. So I noticed that it's very much about the healing and that person's journey. And each healing is very different. For some people, I've noticed we only need 20 minutes if it's a pain that they have. And for some, it just is longer because that person needs more support emotionally and what they're going through. And just yesterday, I did a session with a friend and the guy came through. And it was really just magical to feel how much support and how much love my guide had to really want to help this person understand what they were going through in this time. And so I feel that that's where the difference would be with the trance healing. It's about the healing and the person, where with trance communication is about speaking. And for many, it's about speaking about philosophy or answering questions to the public about what they are, whatever they wish to ask at times. So I feel that's where the difference is. The healing comes in for the trance healing.
With the trance healing, do you ever talk at all, or is it all channeling with just the energy to send to a person?
Just as of recently, within the last 3 weeks, my guide, Braver, who's right back here on this side, he's been getting really comfortable with speaking. So in the sessions, I just move aside and he will come forward to talk to the person and he'll share with the person what he is becoming aware of that is going on either physically or emotionally, or any advice that he can give to help the person. So they've been getting more comfortable with speaking through me. Whereas before, I would not speak, and then at the end, I would share with the person, this is what I was aware of. But now they're just doing it in the moment.
Wow. Yeah, that's really fascinating how the two are blending. And what do you notice with how you step away, if I may ask? I don't know if this is a question you can't answer because you've stepped away and your consciousness goes somewhere else and you invite spirit to come in. But do you notice that there's a different feeling involved?
Absolutely, there is a difference. I've noticed that the first thing that happens when I set my intention for trance healing is that I feel a heaviness that drops from the top of my head into my body. And it's as if I'm falling asleep. I'm not completely out completely. I'm still aware. And the way that I like to describe it, it's sort of when you're asleep and somebody comes to talk to you and you're half listening, but you're not. You're kind of still asleep. And it's sort of that same sensation. And I notice that when I'm in that space, I begin to feel that my own physical body begins to change. My personality feels different, and I can feel that I begin to work on the voice where it's starting to be manipulated. And just before my guide is fully blended with me, my heart starts to beat really fast, and it's like I can't contain the energy. And so then that's when the voice comes forward, or my mouth is opened and he just begins to talk. But during the whole time, I feel like I'm just kind of off on the side, and it's like I'm still hearing what's going on, but I don't fully remember every part of it. It's just like I was sleeping, I'm hearing somebody else's conversation going on.
Yes, absolutely. With if you've had friends or clients record you and you've watched back, what have you noticed?
I did experiment a little bit earlier on with a cousin of mine who would come to receive healing, and I recorded myself, and they weren't speaking yet at the time, but I noticed that I was walking like an old man. I was hunched over, and I noticed that when I zoomed in, my eyes were closed, but they seemed to appear that they were open. And my physical body looked much more different than my own. And so I thought that was very interesting after replaying that and watching that. I was like, oh, that does not, it looks like me, but I don't feel it's me.
No, it's quite fascinating because you never know quite what's going to transpire or materialize. And what you said with my eyes were closed, but it looked like they were open. I've definitely noticed that when someone has a very true physical mediumship or trance connection where they let go, it looks like their eyes are open when they're closed, and there almost is sometimes like a beam of light coming from their eyes. It's really like, whoa, there's energy within the eyes. There really is.
Yes, it's really incredible. I recently posted a video online of me going into trance, and I noticed that in that video, just a few seconds or minutes before my guide begins to speak, there's a little spirit light that flickers on the side next to me. And I look back at some other videos where I notice that there are spirit lights that flicker. And I'm like, oh, thank you. I see that as them just showing themselves a little bit more clearer to the eye of we're working now, we're present. And I've seen that even happen with some of the people that I practice with in circle with another medium, that there will be spirit lights actually moving into trance. And it's really beautiful to see that. I feel that spirit is really coming forward and just presenting themselves.
When you, if I may ask too, because I think I understand, but I just want to make sure I really understand. When you say spirit lights, can you describe what the spirit lights are?
Yes, perhaps I may not be calling it the proper thing, but it's just like a little sparkle. It's like a star.
Okay,
It's
yeah.
very
Okay.
fast. And I caught one in one video where it almost looks like it was like this big. It almost looks like a stick sign, like a little lightning bolt in different colors. And it was just very interesting to see that after. I was like, whoa, thank you. Because I'm a person that still has a lot of doubt and skepticism. And so I feel that these are ways in which they show me it is us. We are working with you. And so I appreciate that from them.
Well, absolutely, especially if you're seeing the spirit lights and um, those like flickers routinely. Like I don't think I see the flickers that much. So it must be like a channeling thing. And you're saying that in groups, other people have seen that as well. What I've seen, I don't know, this could be irrelevant, but when I've seen other people demonstrate, I see their energy go back either to the side or actually back, and then their aura, their energy is a little bit off to their body. And I can see kind of where the energy is with like color. like it's like kind of like a mass of the wave of the energy of the person. And it was funny, one of the first times that I saw that, I saw like this purple energy kind of go back, and I'm just like, oh, I guess that's like the medium. And then I saw a smile, an outline of a smile within the purple like aura, and I'm just like, I guess they're saying hi. I know it sounds bizarre, but yeah, I'm really excited to kind of look out for the lightning bolts, the flickers now. I'm gonna have to start looking out for that.
Yeah, and you know what? If you notice that even when certain mediums go into a trance, I've noticed that the energy is, you can kind of see it through the lens of the camera, where it starts to get pixelated. And if you notice, in the beginning, before they went into trance, it was much more stable. And once they're moving into it, you'll notice that their face kind of starts to shift a little bit. And I've noticed that you can just see that energy shifting.
I agree with that. The pixels pick up that the energy, like something's in the air is a little bit different. Maybe that's what's going on. Maybe you like were hardcore trance healing before you came in, or trance something, because we got a lot of pixels going on. The energy is dense.
I think that this actually does have to do with my internet, unfortunately, so I apologize for that.
I believe there's crossovers though, but yes, I understand that. Oh my gosh. So, with your development within healing, what have you found with people who have given you feedback with how they feel with the connection of the energy that you're giving them?
You know, everybody experiences the healing a bit different. And things that are common that I'm hearing back from people is feeling a sense of feeling lighter afterwards, and much more, just much more free. And during the healing, some people experience warm energy, cool energy, or tingling sensations, or some have actually said back to me that they felt like they couldn't really move, like they were being held. And I thought that was very interesting. So it's very different for everyone. I've had people in some sessions where they'll completely fall asleep. And they're like, I was trying so hard not to fall asleep, and I just woke up and I realized they fell asleep. And so I think the energy just works very differently and very specific to the needs of that person.
It truly does. I believe that. And do you find that spirit just shows you your next path, or sometimes you go, I'm going to try a little bit more of this, I'm going to try a little bit more of that, or is it all just spirit led, how you're becoming more of a healer now?
At this point, I really feel that I took a course with Joe Bradley, who helped me move into those spaces of trance. But when it comes to the healing, I really feel that I'm just allowing spirit to teach me, to help me move forward. So each session, I'm learning something new, and something new that they're able to bring in or to do with me. And so the journey feels very much about trusting them. And I've noticed that the more that I trust them, the more that they are able to do and create. And so I feel that that's where I'm at. I'm really just letting spirit help me move forward with this until I find someone that I feel that I need to study with, and then I'll follow that instinct. But at the time, I just feel that it's between me and spirit.
And just to validate, as we go into some comments, Debbie says, I truly felt amazing after Miguel's healing. Lots of movement and energy, colors flowing. So she loved it.
Thank you, Debbie.
And also, I'm going to go into some other comments with Jessie Cat. She was commenting about Our Lady Guadalupe. She was saying that she had a similar experience of yours with dreaming, but it wasn't with Mary Guadalupe, excuse me. It was with Jesus she saw. And then she started seeing her family members coming through in dreams, but first Jesus came to her in a dream to open up that space. That's fantastic, actually. Have you ever had any other dreams, like besides um, Our Lady Guadalupe, when you were younger, or was that the first, I guess, spiritual figure that came in?
From what I remember, she would be the first spiritual figure that came in. And after that, I look back now to moments in where my guides were coming through. I just wasn't in a place to believe it. I was skeptical of it. But now that I'm connecting with my guide, Braveheart, he came to me years ago. But I just said to myself, no, this is just me making it up. But it was him presenting himself to me at the time. And so I feel that after the visitation from the Lady of Guadalupe, it's sort of where everything really started to open up for me to become aware of it.
Yes. There's the certain pivotal moments. I agree. So looking back, I didn't realize, because I'm like you, Miguel, with like my background. I didn't have the understanding of mediumship. I just didn't. I didn't have the understanding of psychic even. I understood it was a thing, but I didn't really know much about it at all. So I would have these experiences and I would think because I grew up with a Catholicism background too. I would think, oh, this is God, or maybe a representative or angel of, God, or, giving me some guidance. So when you were younger, you felt sometimes guidance coming to you in different forms.
I did feel that. I always felt that there was something leading me to different areas or to be curious about certain things. But my connection to the Lady of Guadalupe as a kid always there. I just felt that she was nearby, and when I became aware of this, I can think back to some moments where I was like, yeah, her presence was around, because I would just talk to her. That felt very normal to me. Did I get a response? No, but it just felt that I could keep talking to her, and I led that more than anything.
That's amazing that you had that relationship, and that trust, because you felt something. You didn't hear a response, you said. So that's your faith and your trust was just within that feeling that it gave you, and you knew that it was so sacred and special. And yeah, even though, let's say, in the beginning of our journey, we didn't know, I guess, about what guidance exactly we're giving, it was all very much connected to such a sacred place, and it just kind of furthers the sacredness of the work the more we learn about it.
Yes, absolutely. I would agree with you. And one thing that I noticed that spirit really does is helping you to get closer to God. And that is something that I have really come to understand, that is innately just happening with the information that comes through from our guides and spirit. I had a bit of an off and on relationship with God myself, and I went through a period of like, I don't believe in you, I don't think you're real, kind of thing. But now I include him in just about everything I do, and I send my thoughts and love to him and talk to him. But I have to say that I found this place because my guides have helped me to build that relationship with God. And I see that they do that with other people, and I think it's really beautiful that they are there to also nurture our connection and to get closer to God.
How has, if I may ask, so you said it's changed your relationship with God. So what are some of the ways in your life where you've definitely blossomed with that relationship?
I would say in believing in his, it's hard to put a word to describe what God is, but to just believe that there is this beautiful energy in which is here to support us and to love us and give us unconditional love. And so I feel that one of the things that I've been able to do in this relationship is to rely on God, to fall back on God when I feel that I don't have the strength for myself or I'm doubting myself. And I feel his presence as if there is someone there just holding me, supporting me till I feel better, or just inserting these moments of love that just comes to my awareness, where it can become very emotional when you're held in that love, because it's a feeling of just nothing can be wrong, and I love you and I support you. And when I experience that, I do start to tear up, because it's such a strong love that I can't fully describe how it feels, but I know that many people have felt it. And so I feel that in that way, I've learned to rely or surrender to God, and surrender to that He will guide me through this life, and He will direct me to where I'm meant to go, as I know that I've already chosen before I came to where my path would go. But it's in trusting that, all right, God, you help me figure this out. I trust you. I don't know what's coming forward, but I know it'll be good.
I know it will be good, right? And so you talked about kind of where like your spiritual development and relationship with God has encouraged you to go forward within your trance healing and your mediumship. So you just it's I think it's amazing because you're doing so many gallery events where you're showing up with that brave heart. Like literally your guide is brave heart. And you're just like, yep, I'm here. I'm here. Let's do this. It's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, it can be a bit nerve-wracking at times, but with time and experience, you learn to just accept and believe that they will show up. And all you have to do is just be a messenger and give what you're receiving. And that's really our job, is just hold the space, be of love, and give what you're receiving, and that's it. And just do your best at doing that. But it can be hard sometimes.
Do you find yourself like having separation from like spirit art and regular art, or do you find that it's all connected now?
There is still some separation, a little bit, but I'm in a place where I'm trying to merge it. So I feel that now I'm trying to incorporate my experiences that I have with spirit into my work. But when I'm also working with them, I'm really making conscious decision to invite them, as if I were due to do a mediumship session. So invite them to join me and to help me. And I notice that that brings in a different energy, where I feel that I move into that space, and there are things that are happening within the painting that just seem to flow through me and just seem to pass on. And so that experience is really beautiful, and I'm trying to embrace that more and bring it more into my own personal work when it's not drawing the spirit portraits.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And do you, if I may ask, with the way that you do your art within just, let's say, whether it's recreational or whether it's with spirit, how do you find bringing in color? Or do you prefer like using black and white? Like how do you choose what even mediums, like charcoal versus another, like colored pencil, or just you tell me. I want to learn more about it. How you choose what you choose.
Yes, thank you. When it comes to my personal work, I really like to work with oil painting. And I've noticed that the more that I've been able to give time for myself to heal and to help myself in a way move into a happier space and living a more joyous life, I'm more intrigued to go into a little bit more color than I was before.
That's cool. I like that. That's really cool.
So I'm seeing that reflection happen. where I'm like, well, in the past, I wouldn't have wanted to paint a red dress. I would just make it black. So I see that change now, and I see how what I'm doing is also influencing my artwork. And with the spirit portraits, I am keeping them at the moment with working with them on graphite because of the quickness, and we're not having to deal with wet paint and letting it dry. It's very quick, so it allows for me to be able to build and layer the portrait a bit more easier and quicker within the time that I have.
That makes sense. Yeah, there's just so much going on, but that is amazing how color is coming in. And do you find yourself gravitating towards certain colors, or do certain colors finding you?
I feel that it's a combination of the two. I feel like red is really becoming a color that I'm very drawn to, that I wasn't before, and also yellow as well. So a bright yellow and red are colors that I just feel like I want to incorporate them into my paintings. And I feel that perhaps the red is just connected to the trance, in which mediums work with red light. And I think that that's where maybe that energy is being built more, and I'm accepting it and bringing it more into my space as well.
There's a really interesting relationship with red and mediumship. There's the lighting, which I find really fascinating with the trance, and then you have to be actually quite grounded to do mediumship. You re-
Yes,
yeah, you're grounding spirit's energy, and I do find a lot of people will crave red in some ways at times, usually not in their whole life, but in certain situations they'll be, when they're developing or working with mediumship, they'll be partial to red. I find that really interesting.
that is very interesting. And adding to the grounding you're speaking about, grounding is so important, especially with trance mediumship. What I've learned is that if you're doing trance mediumship, you have to be grounded. Like you are the soul that has to be connected to this earth plane. And it is then the spirit guide that comes to you and blends and shifts the energy. It's not you going out there, it is then coming to you as an experience. That it's something that happens to you versus you creating it. And so the grounding part is so important. We have to stay tethered to this world.
It's so true. It's so true. And like, if you're familiar with Gordon Higginson and Arthur Findlay College, he would do lectures on color, and he would talk about how, like, the crimson reds, the deep reds, helped facilitate those colors. And apparently his sister really liked those deep, rich cherry reds and those crimson reds, and her whole house, or at least, like, a whole section of her house where she'd entertain people, had, like, red upholstery, red walls, and a lot of his friends would want to come over to her house because they felt so grounded and cozy and comfortable in all the deep red tones.
That's incredible. Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you, Gordon Higginson, right?
Yes.
Oh gosh, I love color. I'm very much, I just, it's amazing all the shadow and detail you can get from the black and the white and the charcoal. It's absolutely astounding. So I love talking about it with both spectrums. Um, Gosh, wow. So I'm like, wow, like, it's just sped. The time has just sped. I wanna ask you what you have going on right now, where people can join you and be a part of, whether it's events, classes, readings.
Yes, thank you for that. People are always welcome to reach out to me on Facebook. You can find me there. I can book you for a reading if you wish to do that. I also am very much offering trance healing for free, so if you wish to experience that, get in touch with me. And I do have a couple of events coming up. I have one this Friday with Debbie Romero, And so we're going to be working together. So it's this Friday at 7 p.m. You are welcome to reach out to one of us and purchase your ticket. I also have another event as well that's coming up in March with Sharon Farber. And I will be teaching as well 2 classes with Hope Spiritual Center on spirit art. So that is what I have planned for the future.
That is amazing. That is so cool. It just makes me excited just hearing about it as you speak. What social media platforms can people reach you at as well if they want to learn more about your work or see your work?
At the moment, Facebook is a pretty good place to do that. And I'm very open. So if anybody has questions or just wants to get in touch, please feel free. I'm very accessible and I'm happy to help out whichever way I can.
Awesome. Before we depart too, I always like to give the guest the last word and share a piece of wisdom like from their life.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Whatever surfaces, it's just, there's no one way, poetry, a story, a thoughts.
I would say that this is a journey that I'm still on and that I'm still understanding, but it would really have to do with giving ourselves self-love and loving ourselves. That I've noticed that in doing that for myself and accepting who I am, good and the bad, and learning how to work with it, that I've been able to open up more into working with spirit and trusting spirit. And I've noticed that love really is becoming the link, and I feel that it is, but it has to do with us also giving ourselves that love so that we can extend and reach out to the spirit world with that love as well.
Extend and reach out to the spirit world with that love. You have me wanting to ask the question, with the time that you've spent with people and sharing that love, have you used it as like an understanding within yourself to amplify that and go, wow, I've just saw myself in a different way?
Yes, absolutely. I feel that being able to see that and acknowledge that has really helped me to be more kind and supportive of myself. And so it's creating shifts in me that I can then see and use to also help other people as well, especially when it comes to the healing and just holding that space for them.
So beautiful, and personifies what you said, amplify and extend that love. And so with that intention, we will do our best and continue to put our energy into that. Thank you so much, Miguel, for being with us here today. Gosh, I loved hearing about the trance work you're doing, and I'm rooting for you. And I'm sure we will see you very soon with whatever you are doing galore. So with that said, everyone, please go with love, luck, light, and love. And don't forget to live. Miguel, thank you so much, and take care, everybody. Have a good Wednesday and see you soon.
Thank you. Thank you, Kelly, for inviting me to share in space.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you as well.
The truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTK-DB.com.